Welcome. We are taking a mental journey into the Himalayas today with my dear friend and documentarian, Lucie England-Duce. Hey, Lucie.
Hi, Jane. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Really, really good. It's a beautiful day here in London.
It absolutely is a beautiful day here in Tennessee as well. I have been watching your upcoming documentary trailers and am completely captivated by them. So that's why I reached out and said, hey, can I interview you about this? Because it's just really fascinating to me. So you have traveled to the Himalayan mountains with a grandmaster, a Himalayan grandmaster, and one of his disciples who was then given the rank of master. Like, just can you just tell me where this whole thing started?
Sure. It is. It sounds so crazy when you put it that way. So that was all 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I went to India for 30 days. I thought it would just be to the Himalayan mountains. It was actually a cross-country tour. We went to every corner of India from New Delhi to Bangalore to the southern rainforests and all the way up to the mountains in the north. And clearly I really didn't know what I was what I was in for. I didn't know what to expect. And actually before I went, I'd never even really had India on my list of places to go. So in terms of law of attraction and manifestations, it wasn't something on my vision board. It wasn't something I'd been journaling about or a goal I'd written down. But if we do go way back to when I was ever since I was about 9 or 10 years old, I always wanted to be a TV presenter or a weather woman or a news reader. I didn't really know specifically what. So that was a little, a sort of, whether that was an idea that came or whether it was like part of who I am. When when you're a child, you're much more pure, aren't you? It's kind of just who you are before you learn what you should want to do with your life.
Yeah.
So that was sort of at the core of me when I was a child. Then fast forwarding to age 16, I remember meeting up with some of my dad's really old friends. They went way back, hadn't seen them in years. I don't think I'd even met this guy in my living memory before. And he's very psychic. He's very clairvoyant and everything like that. And I remember we were just chatting at the dining table and we went to visit them, and he looked into my eyes. I don't know if you've ever experienced that kind of thing with somebody who can see a little bit more than just what is in front of them right now. He really looked into my soul, and he just said to me, you're going to be a presenter. You're going to be a big sort of TV presenter or something like that. So that was just another, like, we're looking at, the timeline, years are going by. Then another 10 years later, when I was 26 years old, without really pursuing it too hard, I ended up falling into this situation where I'd met Eric Ho, as he was then called, because I was pursuing business myself. I'm a businesswoman. And he provides a lot of business trainings, right? So I went along to his business training. So it's funny how the universe brings you to people. I thought I was meeting him for one reason. Then as it all unfolds, it turns out that one of the reasons that we met, I guess, was for me to join him on his journey with Grandmaster Akshar, like you said, and be the presenter of the documentary. And as more time has unfolded since then, another 6 months has gone by, my role within the documentary has expanded a lot more. I'm now taking on the role of being the editor, the writer, the creative director. So I'm doing a lot of the, piecing the story together.
The whole
Pretty
thing.
much. I'm doing quite a large load of the work, which I love. In many ways, I feel like we were such a small team when we were out there in the mountains, right? It was Master Sri Akarshana, who was then known as Eric Ho, Grandmaster Akshar. Grandmaster Akshar's wife was with us for some of it. And then there was the cameraman, Dan, who's got, his cinematography is incredible.
He's incredible.
Some of it. in the trailer, right? The cinematography is stunning. So I'm blessed. I've got beautiful footage to work with when it comes to editing it now. And Dan's wife and me. So it's a very intimate group of us. And because so much happened in that 30 days, like, well, so much, huge, complete life transformation, and the most crazy spiritual experiences for all of us, that really, I think for anyone who would be trying to turn it into a documentary, unless they had been there, unless they'd lived it and breathed it, it would be a very near impossible task.
Yeah, it sounds almost beyond comprehension. So when you say it, and I understand that as somebody who teaches, and, you know, I'm a psychotherapist, so I work with people. A lot of doctors can go in and, you know, dig in and fix an organ or whatever, but I work with people on the organ that really never is seen, the brain. And so a lot of times explaining that intricate inner working is difficult when people don't have that background. So just like you just said, you know, if somebody else was trying to put it together, it would be near impossible because they didn't walk through the journey and they don't have that soul experience. But there's one thing that you said that I think that a lot of people who, and to you, it's just kind of like what you've done because you lived it. But I want to dig in there just a little bit more. You said that you had a whole transformation. Now you were gone for 30 days. You went to a lot of places, you toured. So can you dig into that transformation? I mean, everybody knows Eric Ho was given a new name and the title and powers of master, a Himalayan master. So he's Master Sri Akarshana now. But so that's very public, you know, that's a very public transformation. And can you tell us the part that isn't so easy to touch?
Sure. Well, there's more than one layer to that. There's more than one level to the transformation that he went on, because there was more than one layer of what was actually happening during the month. So there was what I could see and what the camera could capture. And then there's a whole nother level of what Eric Master experienced inside a different dimension, which he accessed through meditation. Mm-hmm. So basically most of the time, most of the 30 days, Grandmaster Aksha and Master were in the same room doing a lot of yoga training. So I was there observing most of it, and it was, I don't know if you've tried some of his yoga classes that Master now teaches. Absolutely. Very intense. Totally different level of yoga than what is typically known as yoga in the Western world.
Right.
So that was a whole transformation experience there, physical transformation. But yeah, you know, I could see they were doing a lot of intense stretching, and then this and that, back bends and headstands and this kind of stuff, right? So that's one surface level, he was getting this huge physical transformation. But then what I didn't see, but what he would share with me, with us, you know, intimately around the dining table afterwards, was, you know, the things that he witnessed within meditation that Grandmaster would help guide him through. And these are the kinds of things where all of the story obviously gets told within the documentary, and a lot of it is revealed for the first time. You know, these things that Grandmaster gave Master access to, it's because it's all passed down through a chain of disciples, right? So everything that Grandmaster has learned, all of the spiritual powers that he has gained, he was taught all of that by his masters, and all of those masters learned it from their masters, and it goes up and up and up like a beautiful family tree, really. And it's knowledge that probably isn't in writing, you know, but it's ancient, and it stems all the way back to the Himalayas. So like I said, there was what I could see, what I could witness, the physical transformations, and then there was all the stuff that happened with their eyes closed in many ways, the places they visited, the dimensions they traveled to, all of that we explore and we share within the documentary. And I suppose what else to mention about transformations? Well, for me personally, if I could share about my transformation.
Please. Yeah, that was my next question. I'm like, I am a journalist. I have been a professional journalist, broadcaster, and I know that when you go to document somebody else's journey, you have your own journey. And so your personal journey, Lucie, is really intriguing to me, because when you said personal transformation a little while ago, yes, I know that this is about Grandmaster Akshar, Master Sri Akarshana, and that journey, but what has this changed? What realizations, growth has this brought for you?
Yeah, very well said. I think when I first stepped into the studio in India on day one of the 30 days, I thought I was fairly open-minded and, quite into spirituality, but there was still a huge part of me that was very skeptical, right? Which I think is just natural. I think everyone has a certain level of skepticism of things that they are unfamiliar with.
Yes.
It's just a lack of familiarity causes the brain to immediately question, is this really real though? And how much can I believe this? Should I believe it? And so on. So, I saw a lot of the bowing and the stretching and the bending. And for me, I was just like, okay, I don't really get it. Like, I honor it. I respect it. I respect that this is something ancient and historical, but really? Really? Like, it was a world away from anything that I experienced in London. And so it was just unfamiliar territory. And I go into depth about sharing a particular moment in the 30-day period. In fact, it was actually pretty much the halfway point. 15 days into the trip, into the journey, I fell terribly ill. Like, the worst sickness I think that I've ever experienced. The pain, the level of pain, the inability to eat, to drink, to walk, to talk, nothing. I was completely immobilized by this illness, which naturally put a halt to the whole journey, right? And as much as I was thinking about how sick I was, my brain was also thinking, but we need to check out of the hotel tomorrow, and I don't want to delay this whole thing, and Master's got another place to go to receive more energies from this specific powerful zone of India, and I'm holding the whole thing up if I'm ill, right? So I had no idea what I was going to do. It really felt like one of those illnesses that would take at least 2 or 3 days for me to get out of my system. And so the last resort really was that I would need some healing.
Which you weren't totally on board with yet, because you were still in that zone of, is this even real?
Exactly. This was something, I'd heard about how people can heal you with energy without you taking any medication or any supplements, but I didn't. How does that work? I couldn't understand it. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? And even though some people may have told me how they got healed, still, if it doesn't happen to you personally, it can still be hard to really believe.
Yeah, it's the skepticism of the logical mind. It's actually, that is a function of your subconscious mind that is good, because it protects you from danger.
Right.
But until it doesn't, until it stands in your way of growth. So it's either doing one or the other, protecting you from danger or standing in your way of growth. Yeah.
Right. And I suppose it's always good to be constantly questioning that protective barrier that comes in our own way. But anyway, any skepticism, there was no room for it anymore, because at that point I was pretty desperate. But anyway, Grandmaster Akshar, he knocked on my hotel room door. He came inside to my room. He looked at me, didn't touch me or anything. He just sat by my bed, observed me, I could tell he was sort of like reading my energy or something. And I kid you not, within the space of 5 minutes, the illness had completely left my body. I was completely well again. From something where I was convinced from previous experiences of ever being ill, ever being bedridden, I would have thought this is going to take at least 48 hours, if not longer. I was being hopeful. I was thinking, I hope I'll be better in 48 hours because we only have 30 days,
right.
And within 25 minutes, I was downstairs suitcases ready to get in the car to go on a long car journey and a plane and another long car journey, which 25 minutes before I thought would be impossible for me to handle that trip, right? So that was a real transformative turning point for me, where when I look back, I almost think I had to have something so extreme and so painful with such a, you know, astonishing time of healing from that, for me to just go, okay, whatever this stuff is that I can't see and that I couldn't explain, I believe it now. And you know, one of those experiences where the more you learn, the more you realize how much you really don't even know.
Oh, every day. I mean, I say that to all of our clients. You know, I learn from every session that I go into, because there's always a different twist. There's always a different psychological nuance that we have to explore. So yeah, it's every day's a journey of figuring out what you didn't already know. That's beautifully put, beautifully put.
Yeah. So the documentary is really it's probably going to be, I'm not yet sure on how long it's going to be, because there's hundreds of hours of footage, as you can imagine.
It's all on you. This is crazy. This is crazy. I had no idea that you were now the editor and the producer and the executive producer. And all of the credits are just going to be the same name going over and over and over.
Yeah, my name will pop up a few times, I think.
Yeah, that's just amazing. What talent you have.
Thank you. But yeah, the 30 days was packed with stories like that. You know, and I think with each different story, someone in the audience watching it will receive their own transformation. You know, it's because, particularly if, as you were saying, from a journalist's point of view, who's almost like an outsider looking in, you know, I think my role in the documentary is to provide the audience with that birds, like fly on the wall kind of, you know, and to go from being fairly skeptical at first to then having my own transformation of, you know, belief and understanding and awareness. I think that will help a lot of the audience to go on that same journey too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the role of the journalist to be the eyes of the audience. That's the whole point, because they can't be there and experience that.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. So after that point, when you were like, okay, this is real, this just got really real. And, you know, you went on the car journey to the plane journey to the car journey. How did that realization open you up for what was next? I almost feel, sorry to interrupt you answering my question. I almost feel like the illness was energy intentionally preparing you for the healing so that you'd be more open to see things that you wouldn't have otherwise seen at your destination.
Yeah, I think up until that point, I was only thinking about all of the good, positive, powerful energies. And I wasn't thinking about the negative energies that always exist, always will exist around all of us. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously the journey we were on, the journey Master in particular was on, was to receive divine powers from, you know, beautiful, positive, benevolent energies to be able to do more good in the world when he received those energies, which he's now in along his journey of doing, right? But for me, for Master, and actually for every single human on the planet, as much as there are positive forces supporting, enabling, dropping opportunities into our lap, giving us ideas and answers, there's also negative energy that tries to hold people back. And what Grandmaster revealed after I was very ill, because I thought I must have got a bug, you know, from the river Ganges or something, Delhi belly, you know, I thought it was like that. But he said to me, that was not a small bacteria that was inside you. That was a very big, dark energy, which was a huge, like, that was a massive shock for me to hear. And that was what he had removed, right, when he healed me. And it showed a lot about the fact that whenever, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, maybe your clients experience this all the time, whenever you declare that you want the next level of your life, or you declare that you're going to go out and achieve something, almost like clockwork, some big old obstacle, unexpected emergency, family tragedy, you know, massive bill that you weren't expecting shows up.
Yep.
Almost, you know, like clockwork, like I said, after you've just gone ahead and declared, I'm going to reach this new level in my life. And so it helped me to be asking these new questions about why does that happen? And more importantly, how can we handle it? And if this is maybe, you know, these laws of how the universe works, where these tests come, maybe to see how badly we do want that next level, or to strengthen us in preparation for that next level, you know, then to receive the sort of the answer from Grandmaster, who explained how it all works, was just, yeah, I think that was the biggest new level of awareness that I got throughout the second half of the journey, that it's important to, you know, respect all of these energies that we can't see around us, and most importantly, to not feel scared, not be driven by fear, to not worry about these negative energies that might come and give you an obstacle in your life, but to remain positive. That was the thing Grandmaster said to me after I was ill. He was like, they're all watching you now. I was like, who? He was like, the energies. Like,
they are.
What? Sounds like some Big Brother 1984 thing, right? But it's like the spiritual version of that. Another thing, I realized that most of these stories, The Matrix, Inception, in some way, they're a representation of how it actually works. So that, yeah, that was another huge mind-blowing realization. You know, I'm not saying that we're all like in the Matrix plugged into something sat in jelly or whatever, but there is more than one, we're in more than one dimension all at the same time, you know? And so a lot of filmmakers, but authors, creative minds, they say that they receive the idea for their dream, right? They wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, or J.K. Rowling received the entire 7-book Harry Potter plot line on one train journey. How do people, where do these ideas come from? Where do they come? Like, it's energy, right? And that energy is transferred. It cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. So all of these things are starting to piece more and more together, thinking, okay, so if people don't just come up with ideas, who's giving them their ideas? And why are they giving them these ideas? And are we shown The Matrix? Are we shown Harry Potter? Are we shown this documentary at significant moments in our human existence when we as a sort of collective consciousness are ready for another piece in the puzzle, another piece in the puzzle, another piece in the puzzle? So that really is why the documentary is being created now and being edited and released very soon, because as a collective consciousness, we're ready for that next piece of the puzzle, and we need that next piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said, you quoted a scientific truth, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transferred. So that is a very well known, it's not a scientific theory, it's a scientific law. And what I've noticed when a lot of people interact or become aware of a story like this, or a journey like yours, or a healing experience as you had with Grandmaster, they brush it off as, you know, woo-woo, or that, it must have been something else, because their logical minds are trying to go to a place where they can logic, you know, use their logical mind in order to make it logically possible.
Yeah.
But when you put it like that, it completely closes that loop, because the scientific minds out there do understand that truth. So what would you say to someone who was like Lucie on the first 15 days of the journey, who's like, nah, this is, yeah, I don't know?
Actually, I would say that that you can't rush you can't rush it. You can't rush getting to your realizations. You can't rush to becoming enlightened.
Hurry up, give it to me. 3 easy steps, Lucie. 3 easy steps to enlightenment.
Sorry. I know, if only. You have to go through every part of it. You can't skip. It's like when you start school, you can't go from the first year of school, skip 10 years of it, and then just go to high school and graduate. You have to go through every year. Maybe you can just about skip 1 year or so, skip ahead, try and catch up. But really, if you skip any more than that, you're losing experiences, you're losing growth, you know, and
yeah.
I had to go through part 1, and I look back at the beginning of that journey, or I don't know if you ever look back on your Facebook statuses for 10 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? What was I saying? What was I thinking?
Mine are like baby pictures now. I'll show my 12-year-old, look at what you did 11 years ago.
Right. Yeah, don't use that as a weapon.
Oh yeah, someday. Yeah, it's not quite a weapon yet, but just wait a couple years.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff you have there. But yeah, you know, I look back, like I was saying, you look back at previous chapters of your life where, you know, hopefully the goal is that you've grown so much, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially, financially, the whole works, right?
Right.
And so that growth is only had by going through this challenge at that level of consciousness, and as a result you get that realization. Then you're equipped, just like a video game, with this next level of consciousness. You experience this challenge, in order you smash those two together, you get the next level.
Yeah.
You know, so well, what I would have said to myself, I actually wouldn't say anything to myself at day 1 version of Lucie at the beginning of the India trip. It unfolded exactly the way it was meant to unfold. I wouldn't have, you know, if I could tell her anything, I wouldn't, because, and this is what Grandmaster did, right? We were clueless. Day 1, I was just like, where are we going now? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Who's this? Where are we going? Oh, now you know, and he didn't tell us anything about what we were doing. Next thing we knew, we're going here, we get in the car, we come out there, we come here, pray there, you know. And it frustrated me at first. I was like, why can't he just tell us what we're going to be doing? Like, I don't have a clue what's going on here. Can someone just tell me, please? You know. And then as it went on, I started to realize that if he had told us, this is everything you're going to experience, or you know, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do that, then I probably would have had expectations. I would have had, I probably would have showed up differently to each step, you know, whereas when everything was just fresh and you barely have any idea what you're meant to get out of each part of the journey, it keeps you super fresh. It keeps you super present, super appreciative of each moment, because you don't know whether it's going to be the first time you're going to be sat on a street with ants crawling up your legs meditating, or whether it's going to be the 15th time that you're going to be doing that lovely experience. You know, you just don't know. So you appreciate everyone. Could be the last time.
Maybe, hopefully. I don't know if you really enjoyed that experience. That particular one doesn't sound like it was your favorite.
Oh yeah, the bugs and the aromas and everything in India is so intense, for all the senses. So yeah, lots of memories there.
Yeah. So I guess your takeaway for what would you say to someone who's in that spot is just be open, don't set expectations, because expectations are only limiters for the other possibilities.
Yes. Yeah. Just don't, you don't require the full picture. It's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to, you know, not know every next step of the journey. And I guess having Grandmaster Akshar as this, you know, separate person, separate entity, who very quickly I learned I could trust very much. So he's such a trustworthy person.
So
that allowed me to let go and trust the process. But when we talk about other journeys in life, we're often taught to let go and trust the process. It might not look like a physical person, it's just trust the process, trust the way your life's going to unfold, you know? So yeah, those 30 days was like a mini training session of how to let go and trust the process.
Amazing. That's amazing. So you're putting this whole thing together from the audience view of following Eric Ho through as he became Master Sri Akarshana, and it will be released sometime summer 2020.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. And how are we going to find out that it's ready for public consumption? I can't wait personally.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, social media is definitely where it's going to be announced. So my YouTube channel, Master Sri Akarshana's YouTube channel would be the two places where the people who are following those channels will definitely be the first to know, I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will put those channel links down in this video description, as well as any other links that Lucie wants to share with me and Grandmaster Akshar, and then all of the goodies and freebies and everything that I always try to pack in for you guys on every single video that we drop here on Guild Coaching's YouTube channel. Lucie, any other last comments for anybody who's still with us?
Any last comments?
I actually have one thing that I do want you to say. We were chatting a little bit before we actually started, you know, the official interview. You were talking about this day and age, and you touched on it a little bit when you said, you know, when Matrix came out and when Harry Potter was there, and, you know, these strategic times that these truths disguised in fiction are released for public consumption. So this documentary is being released this year, 2020. It's been a huge year for the world. Will you just say to everyone the reason that you think that it is such a divinely timed release?
Yes. So it's the reason that Grandmaster gave actually as well. That, you know, I think it's fair to say that from what the world has experienced as a united world, right, over the last few months with the coronavirus, with the COVID-19 pandemic, as a result of that, consciousness has shifted, or to put it less sort of woo-woo, you know, people are thinking differently. People's priorities have changed. People's lives have changed. The world has changed. The way countries are interacting, you know, we're all fighting one thing rather than fighting each other, which is bittersweet and beautiful, really. But as a result of all of these things that no one could deny has changed, people are asking new questions. People are questioning why is something like this happened to people on a global scale. And what that means is that more people will be ready to receive the answers that are revealed in the documentary. So although at the time when we were filming the documentary in the summer of 2019, we had no idea, or at least I had no idea. I can't speak for everybody involved, you know, because some people can see more than just now. But although I had no idea what was yet to unfold and how important and how necessary the secrets that are revealed in the documentary would be to the audience of humanity in 2020, I think the only way to describe it is that there must be more than just humans involved in the creation of it. And you know, what I mean by that is, you know, the higher powers, however you want to look at that or describe that, you know, the timeline of this world, of the shifts that we're going through, is definitely, it's something that is larger than just humans.
Of course.
So I think, yeah, the significance of the documentary coming out this year is bigger than I ever knew.
Absolutely. And I love that you didn't know that when you were going through the journey. You had no idea that the world one thing that we were talking about before we started recording was, you said that there isn't really war anymore, these individual wars. I mean, there are, but the world's eyes are on this one united front. And you touched on that again. And none of us would have even, when we were together just a few months ago, we wouldn't have foreseen the gravity of what was coming, though Grandmaster and Master told us that the world is going to change on this time scale. You know, I mean, we knew something was coming, but we didn't know what and the gravity of it. And I think that it's really unbelievably fantastic that this beautiful piece of work that is coming from your hands and your heart and your soul and your mind and all of the ideas that are being given to you from the energies is for this space and time. So thank you.
Thank you. It doesn't feel like hard work when you are working on a project that is just, you know, a kind of creative flow. And I just feel like I've been given all of the pieces. I've just got to put them together really now. So yeah, I'm excited to be complete, to be able to share it with you all.
Well, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here with me, for sharing your experience, and just for being you. I just absolutely adore you and think that you're wonderful.
Thank you, Jane. I was so honored when you reached out for this interview. I instantly knew it was something I wanted to do. Awesome. And it was an absolute pleasure, as I thought it would be. So thank you.
All right, everyone, please do check the video description for links, tools, how to get in touch with Lucie, where to go and subscribe when the documentary is ready for you, and then also how to get in touch with me. And make sure that you subscribe, hit that little bell, and give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, so we know that you've enjoyed it. And I will see you next time that we drop a video to help you live a life with more fulfillment, more happiness, more success, and lower stress.